Good morning. Hello. We are going to do Raphaelle Peale. Sorry, I paused because I thought I heard something like weird through my speaker, and I now know what it is. Okay. You see the reference here up in the upper right hand corner. I have the usual palette of titanium white, cad yellow, yellow ochre, cad red, quinacridone, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, a little burnt sienna, and I just touched it with my brush. And then what I'm going to use is the this right here, the burnt umber. Oh, I didn't get much. Okay. What I usually do is how we start out is I will talk about the artist that we are studying. This is a study, it's not a copy, and I keep saying that because I tend to get in there and get too tight trying to copy what I see instead of focusing more on the colors he used, or she, and brush strokes and things like that. So what I tend to do is I'll take some mineral spirits, or you can use Gamsol. I need to get me some Gamsol because this mineral spirit smells. And this paper is gessoed. It's a Bristol paper that is gessoed. There is a little bit more to the image than what shows on the screen, and it's just background. It's just it's the same as what you see, in this area on the, yeah. Let's get the edge of the book in there. I mean, at this point I can adjust things. Raphaelle Peale is known to be the first professional still life painter in America. See, I'm going to have to move that over. I've got some paper towels and rags and all kinds of good stuff over here. The reason I use mineral spirits or Gamsol on this first is because it dries so quick. I know a lot of this is repeat for those of you that come here regularly, but I have to. I love these classic paintings with these dark edges on, or dark backgrounds on here. It's like they come out of the darkness. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Peale. He was not a happy man. Let's go back. He was born in Annapolis, Maryland. As the eldest of renowned artist and naturalist Charles Willson Peale. And while I'm doing this, if you are one that's been here, the last 4 I'm thinking, yeah, the last 4 that I have done, the white is still wet. And it's because I changed to this Paul Rubens titanium white. But even what I saw online does not say that it should take that long to dry. But what I'm getting at is I'm going to have to start not doing these in my sketchbook, which means they'll be loose, which means I will be able, well, I don't know. I don't know about putting them up for sale now that I'm saying it out loud, because it seems, I mean, it's a study, but I don't know, it just seems like it's not kosher. Because it is his work. I grew up in a family deeply entrenched in the arts. I love this little curl right here. He was immersed in painting from a young age. His father founded the Peale Museum in Philadelphia. I have not been there. I should have looked it up online. The Peale Museum was one of the first American museums, and Raphaelle contributed both artistically and scientifically. Oh, the paintbrushes I'm using are Rosemary & Co. I've got 3 different ones here. The one I've got in my hand is a number 2, series 274. I also have an ivory filbert number 4 and a ivory pointed round 0. Just for reference. His work predominantly features meticulously rendered scenes of food, such as fruits, dessert, and beverages arranged on tables with dark backgrounds. Essentially, what I'm doing here is an underpainting, and I try and keep it thin. So that we're going the classical fat over lean. Usually his compositions invite viewers to appreciate the textures and detail of everyday objects. Like in this orange, if you look at it closely, you can really see the texture and where this orange was peeled and pulled off of here. And if you look at the difference between this orange peel right here compared to the pages of the book, you can really tell. See, that's already almost dry. You can really tell the difference in the textures. He was influenced by Spanish still life traditions observed during his travels to Mexico. I know I put white down there, but it's too juicy. I won't be able to get it, my colors as bright as I want, I don't think. Usually these take a couple of hours because it is a study, and I will do a time lapse video and put it up for those that don't want to sit through several hours. And I'm changing to this filbert number 4. Peale's style is characterized by his precision and a melancholy feeling, which goes back to me saying he was not a happy guy, it doesn't sound like. And I know this looks really juicy, but these are mineral spirits and it will dry probably by the time I get some of these details done, and I can go back over with a more solid color. I got that angle wrong. It's more like that. His notable works, the ones that people mostly think of when they hear him, is Still Life with Cake. I do not have an example of it. Melons and Morning Glories, and Blackberries. I did not give his date of birth, but he was born in 1774 and died in 1825. So he was born just before, or just during, no, 1776, yeah. Let's see. Despite his artistic success, he faced personal struggles such as alcoholism and health issues related to his work as a taxidermist in his father's museum. He was dealing with all these chemicals, and they just were not, they couldn't have been good for him. Because back then they didn't take a lot of the precautions that we take now. And they were dealing with things that had lead and mercury and, yeah. These challenges affected his career and his personal life. Nevertheless, his contributions to American art remain significant, and his work continues to be celebrated in their technical mastery and evocative compositions. And that was according to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Got a little bit of yellow in this white, and I'm just going with it. How is everybody? What's going on? Let me check the YouTube. I haven't checked it. Isn't that terrible? Let me at least put a welcome up there. Welcome. You, of course, are free to chit-chat, ask questions in the comments, especially if you're on the live. This brush has been through heck. I have really been rough on it. And this is the Rosemary & Co. and it's still holding up. I need to take better care of my brushes. I really do. So we will be having a video on that at some point in time. Rosemary & Co. does have, and I'm not affiliated, I'm not, yeah, nothing. They do have a conditioner that just came out on the market. So if you're interested in that, check it out on their website. I want to say it was around $10, something around there. It wasn't terribly expensive. But the way I have been cleaning my brushes is I take all the paint off that I can with a rag or, you know, paper towel or whatnot, and then I will use Dawn dishwashing soap and get the remainder of the paint out of the brush, and then I lay them down flat to dry. I think the problem with that is the mineral spirits are really harsh, for one. Dawn dishwashing soap does a wonderful job of getting the oil out, but it also dries it out. So I think I need to find a better way. I need to put a poll up and see how people have been doing theirs. I've been doing it that way for years, and Kwang Ho has a wonderful video up. Again, it's put up by Rosemary, but it was put up way before they had this conditioner. It's a couple of years old, and he has a really good video up. Have I been following what it says? No. Do I know I should be? Yes. Let's see. If you want to see a lot of his work, the Smithsonian did anyway have a lot of his American art. Well, Smithsonian Art Museum and the Metropolitan Museum of Art had, if you know, you know. I don't see why they wouldn't, though. Some of his art that you can look closer at. And the wonderful thing about the Met and some of these online is you can look at them so close you can see the grain of or the weave of the, sorry, it's hard to paint sometimes and talk. You can see the weave of the canvas. There's such high detailed photos. And they are in the public domain. I forgot about that. So, last 6 months, the first 6 months of 2025, we did portraits. So this 6 months, I've been trying to do still life. Let's talk a little bit more about Mr. Peale. He never did marry, and as far as we know, he never had kids. Let's see. Raphael's work in his father's museum included taxidermy and handling preserved specimens, which came with some challenges. He was, like I said, he was exposed to chemicals. Aside from mercury and lead, there was also, you had to deal with arsenic, and other substances to preserve the animal species. Prolonged exposure to those chemicals causes health problems. I grabbed some burnt sienna. That's a little, just kind of lay in this book area. Taxidermy required fine, delicate work for long hours, which physically is demanding. And they were often in cramped, poorly ventilated spaces. So all these chemicals that they were working with had nowhere to go. There was no ventilation system, and we can probably guess they did not wear aprons and protective gear that you would wear today, gloves, things like that. By the way, the main reason I wear gloves is because I'm a mess. I'm messy, and it just helps on clean up, because I often will have it all over my skin, and I know that can't be good, but for me it's just smart to wear gloves. And I've gotten comfortable with it. It feels weird at first, but then you get used to it. It also gave an emotional toll. I mean, can you imagine working with dead animals? It had to have been psychologically taxing, especially for someone who was already sensitive and artistic like he was. Just kind of blocking that in there. Get that little... I'm going to test this background and see where we're at. Yeah, still. That'll help thin it down a little bit so it'll dry. Also, it distracted from his time of painting. He worked long, hard hours doing the taxidermy, and then kind of fit his painting in around the edges, which I'm sure some of you can relate to. It's not easy to do, and it's very draining if you're doing that and all you want to be doing is painting. For this, I mixed my cad yellow and my it's not vermilion, it's cad red. I think it's just cad red. I'm checking to make sure. Yeah, it's just cad red. I have the Utrecht brand in it on my palette. He was also an alcoholic. I'm going to be adjusting the color of this orangey. I just want to, again, block it in. Some accounts suggest that the stress and health impacts of taxidermy may have contributed to his alcoholism. I went to Chat GPT and asked if he was possibly self-medicating depression, and it said that it couldn't say because they did not have those records back at that time to be able to say. That was not something that they was on their radar per se. Remember, he was born in 1774, so. But it sounds like, to me, that could have been a possibility. Although we know alcohol is a depressant, I'm adding a little yellow ochre to some white for this in here. For the pages. You know what I'd love to do? Have you seen the books where they paint the edges of them? You know, yeah, and then you, yeah. If you know what, I think it's called, is it fourth something? Sorry, I'm not more informed on it before bringing it up. But I think that would be really fun to do. But sadly, the first book that I think of that would work for it is something that would not be fun to do. So I just put a map of Kansas on it or something of that nature. Because I have an older edition of In Cold Blood. Yeah, that, you see what I mean. In short, his museum duties were physically, chemically, and emotionally challenging, yet he still managed to produce some of the finest early American still lifes. This back here will be almost a black. I think I'm going to go ahead. Well, never mind. If you see me skipping around, that's just the way I paint. It's the way I learned, so that you have a cohesive view of the whole thing. I know some people do not paint that way, and that is totally their prerogative. I'm pretty sure, seeing the amount of white I'm putting on this already, that I'm going to have to prep some individual pages for future Master Mondays due to dry time. The thing is, when they're in I'm using it in a notebook, a sketchbook, and I can't turn the pages if they're still wet. And even like last week's, I've got it over here kind of arched over because it was still still wet, and I know it's because I'm using that white. Because that's the only change I've made. We got peoples. I did not adjust the white balance on this. I assume it was okay. It looks pretty close. You are fine. You are more than fine. Let's kind of get this in here. It's about halfway down. And then this goes, and there's a shadow on here. And then a shadow under there. And I may have to adjust that. This is darker. Let's see what else we can learn about Mr. Peale. His subtle melancholy in his still life paintings can be linked to the pressures and hardships he faced. He had isolation and quiet observation. Working with taxidermy often meant long solitary hours surrounded by dead animals or dead species. This may have sharpened his focus on small, intimate objects, but also lent his paintings a quiet, contemplative, sometimes somber mood. I don't know that I would have enjoyed that either. I wondered why he continued to do it. If it was that hard on him, why? Why did he, what was his relationship with his dad that he could not, I don't know, work around it or something? If the results were that drastic? I know parenting was different back then, but just makes you wonder. From what I understand, his siblings were all married and had families. So I wonder if it was like, well, he doesn't have a family, so he can stay back and help Dad. I'm purely speculating there. Yeah, there comes more over here. Maybe not that far. His exposure to toxic chemicals and the physical strain of his work could have made him acutely aware of life's fragility, which is reflected in his careful rendering of ephemeral subjects like fruit, flowers, and desserts. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see, I think that needs to go up a little. I will put more detail, of course, in this lovely oranges, citrusy look. And that needs to come down because you can't see both sides at the same time. For now, I just put in a little bit of that burnt umber as a shadow. What I will do is add its complement and it will make it, I know this isn't that dark right there, so I'm still kind of blocking it in. We've been here for 35 minutes. That's not too bad. That needs to come up, I feel like. Again, it's a study, not a copy. You'll find me repeating that often because I need the reminder. You know, I didn't even think about it, but on our pastel tutorial on last Thursday, we did an orange for beginners in oil pastel. I don't know that I put the two and two together because I scheduled these master study artists. I schedule them on my YouTube way ahead, as in all I have to do is hit public. I usually do it by the quarter. Yeah, I've got that. I've got that too much of a corner. And less of a curve. Let's see what it looks like on your end. Hey, Laura's here. Yeah, see, I've got it. That helps some. Still, I think it's too heavy down here. We'll get her. Inch by inch. What's Laura been doing? I think that needs pushed back too. Maybe? I have not painted or done any artwork since last week, which for me here lately is unusual. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit of blue and just the tiniest bit of red and make like a dirty purple, a dirple. And put that in there for that. Shadow in there. Very Derple-esque. I may have to change over soon to a different paintbrush. The center, well, you know what would have helped if I cleaned my paintbrush. Yes, yes indeed. Yay. I think that sounds like a plan, Laura. Laura is focusing on her goals. See, that needs to be lower. But I lose that light in there, but that's easy enough too. I do have a fan on in here, and hubby is home. So if you hear anything in the background, it's just life. And I'm sure you will forgive me. Let me get some of this down here. Somewhat. Again, I'm putting that white on fairly thick with that yellow ochre, so I know it's going to take a while to dry. Why don't I just use a different white? Because this Brands is a large tube and it needs used, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just takes a while to dry. I can work around it. thought about getting it. I have a whole set of them, of those. I've considered getting them out and using just those on my palette for a while. To see how they all do. See, that should be back here. That's my problem there. I don't have that nearly wide enough. We will fix that right off. I'm just taking off what I've got there because it is so light. It will save me a lot of fighting. Since we're working wet and wet. Many of his compositions highlight the fleeting nature of life. Speaking of fleeting and ephemeral, I have been just tossing these out when I get these paper towels. Somebody said that they let theirs dry and then they just reuse them for wiping their dirty brushes off. So I'm going to try that with a couple of them. Let's see. Most of his compositions include ripe fruits, delicate blossoms, or desserts on the verge of decay. This echoes the concept of vanitas. And please forgive me if I mispronounce that. Reminding viewers of impermanence, which may reflect his own experience with illness and mortality. He did pass away at the age of 50, which I don't know. To me, at that time, I don't think that would have been that young. But they often talk about how he died at a young age. Okay, I'm going to change brushes here. I am. I still have, if you caught my live last weekend, I still have that, well, I guess it would be the weekend before last. I still have that same figurative work on my, I know I should have done this before I switched brushes, but here we are. I'm hesitant to work on it because the response to the way it is if I don't know, it's just kind of scary. And I've found a few other reference images to use as that are Creative Commons to use as reference for companion pieces. I do have an exhibit coming up next year that I am trying to work toward. And also, I am fully monetized on this channel now. So, yay! But also, just to let you know that your views and all, your interactions matter even more now, because it helps support this channel in a monetary way. So, I'm looking at it and thinking here, because that seems, well, that's more of a, just a dark area there. It's not really a shadow per se. This brush also I have put through heck. Just before I got on here, my husband was talking about some stuff he had put on Walmart list for cooking. And my comment was I like seeing him enjoy the new stove that we got a few weeks ago, because neither one of us has ever had a brand new stove. I know that sounds strange to probably some of you. But we've never gone and like picked out what we wanted, and we just made do with whatever we had. And he was the one that went and picked it out. I trusted him. I knew he wasn't gonna. So I want him to enjoy it, especially he's on vacation. And his mobility is limited, so currently. So enjoy that sucker. Even if it's stuff we just put in the freezer or we give away, I'm good with it. I hear aluminum foil. That means he's probably making no-bake cookies. Let's see. Back to Raphaelle Peale. The meticulous detail in his paintings could be seen as a way of asserting control in a life constrained by illness and work pressures, creating order and beauty amidst his challenges. That makes sense to me. I should have I shoulda, woulda, coulda put up his portrait. I need to start doing that. I'm making a note. Artist. Oh, that's not writing on that very well. It's like I don't have a pencil. I have a pencil. What was I saying? What I did have. Oh, it's over with my pastels. Somebody remind me. I need to put up the portrait of the artist because it just helps you relate a little more to him. So the melancholy isn't overt or dramatic. It's quiet, reflective, and subtle, giving his still lifes a depth that goes beyond mere technical mastery. It's a calm sadness that invites viewers to pause, reflect, and notice the fragility of everyday things, perhaps exactly what he felt in his own life. I'm adding a little cad yellow to this so I can brighten it up. His personal life was quite private and somewhat troubled, and historical records are a bit sparse. Ooh, I like that. That little right there, right in here. There's no strong evidence that he ever married. Or had children. Unlike some of his siblings who had more conventional family lives, he seems to have remained mostly focused on his art and his work at the Peale Museum. Which we already knew. He dealt with, well, we already said that too. Contemporary accounts suggest he lived a relatively solitary life, immersed in his paintings and museum duties. One great thing about these images from the Met, since they are so high resolution, and you can blow them up and really see what the artist put there. It's not just, it doesn't pixelate out when you get in there. According to history, his father was a demanding but supportive, both a painter and naturalist. In short, his life was more devoted to art and museum work than to family or social pursuits, And this tension between personal challenges and artistic output shaped much of his legacy. Raphael had several brothers and sisters who were also artists, and you'll find this interesting because their names were Rembrandt, Titian, and Rubens Pearl. I thought that was kind of cool. I had a painting instructor that named his son Hans, after Hans Hofmann. And I have a acquaintance here locally that named, well, actually there's two of them that named their son Atticus. If you're familiar with To Kill a Mockingbird. Despite the pressures, his family environment provided mentorship, access to resources, and a network of collectors. That's a good point. I had not considered that. I need to make that white area larger because it looks like it's cut off the end of it instead of the I'm mixing a little more of that cad red and yellow just to get some of these I want to call them cells, but sections. Let's just call them sections of the orange in there. This in here looks like it's white, but there's a little bit of a yellow to it. Let's see, what was I going to do? Oh, I need to put that little shadow in the center. It's a little dark. He often painted specimens or still lifes that tied to the museum's educational mission, blending art with scientific observation. You know, and I wonder if him working in a museum his father's museum at that. Kind of scratched that intellectual need. You know, it wasn't entirely, you know, he may have told himself that, but, or it may have been viewed that way. But yeah, I bet there were a lot of advantages to working in the museum. Oops, got that a little out of wacky there. My Durple. Is not, I don't feel like I'm capturing that. He found space in his art to express control, beauty, and transience, in contrast to the stress and constraints of family and work life. So his personal life and family dynamics weren't dramatic in the usual sense, but the pressure and isolation and mentorship created a unique environment that shaped both his life and his art. Let's see if I can. So I know I keep going back and forth between Peale and talking about other stuff, so it might be making it hard to follow. Welcome to my brain. I run sprints on another channel, and I had to cancel them for this Thursday. And I'm tempted to go ahead and cancel for tomorrow. Tempted. Not definite. Tempted. His legacy. Like I've said, he was the first professional still life painter. Let's see what this looks like over here. Thursday I'm canceling because I have a commitment. I'll tell you personally. I'll tell you in private. It's nothing. It's, yeah. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But it's not my thing. I'm going to help somebody else, and I don't want to. tomorrow, I'm just thinking tomorrow would be a really good day to spend all day in the studio. I know I got Wednesday though. I'm going to try for a while anyway of taking weekends off, just because it seems like I need that recovery time. And rather than burn myself out, I'm going to see now this area right in here is shorter on the original. And this space right here, this comes more like right here. Maybe I just need to elongate or widen that. And that will give me yeah. And this is why I look at what you're seeing while also looking at my reference and all, because sometimes I catch those things that I wouldn't have otherwise. Kaboom! What was the kaboom? Now you got me worried. What's going on? Somebody in chat said kaboom that I know. I know the person, but I don't know what they're kabooming about. Something happened in Florida? Hubby sent me a text and I wasn't aware of it. I'm just checking the news to make sure that the state of Florida is
It has come time to make.
okay. I'll have to look at it later. I just hope you're okay. Maybe I'll check my private messages. I'm looking at what I need to. I know this is too orangish. I need to make it more like a brick red. I've got this line is off. This all needs to come in for sure. For sure, for sure. Yellow ochre. It's actually lighter than the orange. Just a reminder, this is a study, not a copy. To me, this background almost has like a greenish hue. Not just on your reference, what you're seeing, but also on mine. So I wonder if I need to add, not my Durple, but my little blue here and there. Because it's got that yellow ochre. I shall henceforth call it Durple. Let's see. Let's see if there's any more information about Mr. Peale here. His work set a high standard for technical precision, composition, and subtle lighting. Sorry, I kind of mumbled there. Influencing later American artists. He was mastery of intimate, detailed compositions. He focused on everyday life objects, like fruits, desserts, flowers, and table settings, rendered with remarkable attention to texture, color, and light. I may just, on this part, just use a blender rather than try to come on. There we go. I got just a little bit of walnut oil in there. His compositions often have a quiet, contemplative tone, reflecting both his artistic skill and personal sensibility. He is known for his legacy, is also blending art and science. Growing up in the Peale Museum, Raphaelle combined observational rigor from natural history with aesthetic sensibility, producing works that are scientifically accurate yet visually poetic. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to just use a blender on this to, that won't be a problem. Let me see if I can just use a fan brush and get that. Oh, here's one. I think it's a rosemary. Yep, look at that. Sorry, that ding noise is my iPad. I turn that down so you don't. Just doing this really lightly. Blend these brush strokes out. And what I could do is do this over the whole thing and go back over it. Better not. I'm going this direction here because I don't want to get half the brush with that just yet. I could put the paint on a lot thicker here and be able to blend it. Well, I thought I had the sound turned down. Did I just turn it up? No, sound's off. Okay, let's see what kind of difference we can make back here. Because that made a big difference down here. Ooh, look at that, look at that. Anybody remember Ray Stevens? He was, for those of you youngins out there, it may not. I'll probably go over this to get a closer color to what, but this gives me a much better base to work with. And I can always go back and do this again once I change some colors. Ooh, look at that, look at that. Ah, look at everything over here. Okay, I feel better about that. I don't use these fan brushes very often, but thank you for letting me know, all of you, that you can't hear anything in the background, because hubby doesn't make much noise, so I tell him not to worry about it because he just naturally doesn't. And I don't want him tiptoeing around. I'm getting something with a much more defined point here. Choose. Oh, there it is. This is a well, I know Winsor and Newton. I only know that because it's written there. That's a itty bitty one. Look at that. Itty bitty. I'm going to use that to work on this part. Just to get some of these. That was Poncho. You know what? I haven't given him a you know what today. I may need to take a break here in a little bit and go get him a you know what. Can't say the word. There was more information too about Mr. Peale. Let's see. Hit part of his legacy also. He had a great influence on American art. Though he worked in relative isolation compared to more social artists, his paintings inspired later generations of American still life painters, including his siblings and other artists in Philadelphia and beyond. Museums like the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Smithsonian American Art Museum, and the Timken Museum hold his works, keeping his contributions visible and influential. He had a quiet resilience. Despite alcoholism, health struggles, and personal challenges, he created a body of work that combines beauty, technical mastery, and subtle emotional depth. That is quite a feat. Sorry about that. I'm just going to have to open it and hope that by opening it, it'll quit those notifications. Nope, that didn't work. Darn it. Sorry, give me just a minute. I need to turn the notifications off on this. It's blowing up, and I don't want them. Well, it even says it's off. So I don't know. I don't know. My lighting is not great. It's all the way up. Maybe I'm going blind. Oh, I know what it is. It's because it's cloudy outside. I'm not getting that. Ambient light. Through the window. my Durple. This brush is far too small to be doing this. It's fine for in here, but sorry, this table's a little uneven. This is a table that my father-in-law made ages ago. Had to have been over 30 years ago. And I don't remember for sure how I got it. He, I don't know, maybe he made it for his office area, some work area. I don't know. Anywho's, it's trying to knock back that white. His art and life, Mr. Peale, Raphaelle Peale, demonstrate how intimate observation and dedication can leave a lasting impact even under difficult circumstances. I wonder what his genealogy was, if he was English or Irish, or it's just when you see a portrait of him, he looks like he was a very stout individual, and I'm just curious. I wonder if he was Spanish. Somewhere in his okay, ladies. You all can't hear that bloop bloop every once in a while. The notifications on my I'm adding a little yellow to I'm going to switch brushes too. This brush is far too small to be doing some of this. Unless I'm working on this in here right now. Putting it just a little bit lighter in there. This over here is lighter than that over there, which makes sense because it's closer to you. I wonder if I have some like cadmium orange over there. Hold on just a second. Whoops, ouch. I don't think I do. But no, I don't. Not in my, I need to bring that cart in here. I have a cart in another room that has a lot of, well, it's kind of my back stock of oil paints. And yeah, I need to change this. Nice paintbrush, but far too small for what I'm doing. Blow that up, see what is that. It doesn't really look like he used the complementary color. There's some reddish in it. And yeah, I know that's way too dark, but we will handle that. When I asked about depression, if maybe he was self-medicating with his alcoholism, now I use ChatGPT to ask because I thought it would be faster. In the 1800s, people didn't typically describe mental health in terms we use today, like depression. Alcohol use might have been noted as a weakness or habit, not as a form of self-medication. It just doesn't look right. Much of the historical attention is on the physical toll of his lifestyle, toxic exposure, and frailty, because those are more clearly documented. Mental health is inferred, not directly recorded. So it's not the historians think he didn't use alcohol to cope, more that they can't confirm it as a deliberate attempt to self-medicate depression based on the surveying evidence. So if anybody has a chance to go to the Smithsonian or the MoMA, I would suggest you do it, to go see his stuff. If you can't, their websites are a wonderful source of images and information. I know I use the Museum of Modern Art a lot for reference photos because they are very highly detailed, very high resolution. I'm going to change and go back to this one. I plan on doing my own, but I don't gatekeep. David Kaysen has a video up that is on taking care of your brushes. Actually, it's his wife that does it, but it's on his channel. Also, there is a link in the description of this for more information. Did you hear that ding? That ping? I just don't feel like I'm getting the shape of this orange at all. Maybe it's this right here. I think I bet it is. Oh, I hear a mower. Can't help but wonder if it's on our property. We hire out our mowing. My husband used to love to do it, but we had an old mower, and he just eventually got to where it was I'm pretty sure it is our property. So if you hear a mower go by, that's what it is. Another ping. And another ping. we have a pretty good size yard, and um, our mow lawn people, not really a gardener because we're not that fancy. People that mow our yard do a really good job. Another ping. I'll have to, if any of you all that are pinging me are on here, I'll have to look later. But something must be going on. It's admin stuff. I can't disparage them from, they gotta do what they gotta do. Bet you can hear the mower now. We got mowers and we got pings, and we are just gonna ignore them for the moment and get our work done, right? Because that's what we do. That's a little closer to the, yeah, that's closer to what I need. And in our mowing individuals defense, it looks like it's gonna rain, so he's probably, or they are probably hoping to get it done before it does. This just doesn't feel like the brush I usually use. Most of what I do now is going to be just tweaking. Getting these orange peels to look right and whatnot. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you can hear the mower, just I hope you can overlook it, because they're doing what they got to do. Trying to get a little darker. There we go. Time is it? Oh, we're almost at 2 hours, so that's not too bad. It's a study, not a copy. It's a study, not a copy. It's a study, not a copy. By the way, that was all the information I had on Mr. Peale. And yes, I understand the irony, or not irony, but coincidence or whatever, of discussing an artist by the name of Peale, and we're doing an orange peel. If you look up his work too, there are a number of variations of the same subject matter. Like, you will see an orange like this, and then you'll see cherries sitting beside it, or there'll be something in the background, or the peel will be a little off over to the edge somewhere. It was as if he studied an object very, very close. And this up here is a reflection, this here. So. edges of this peel, he's got it down to where it's got that texture where it came off of the meat of the I know it's not a study, or it's not a copy, it's a study, but I want to put that there. I find it very intriguing. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. This makes me want to go get an orange and peel it. This over here. I am using a little bit of my Durple. Yes, I said Durple. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. See, it looks much lighter on the reference. I'm going to try and shape that a little closer to what it this part of the peel, it looks like on the original. I think I got it too long. This part in here shouldn't be that. But it is. I don't know, depending upon how my back feels, I might do a pop-up. I'd do a pop-up of working on my own. Today, I don't promise anything because I may need to rest my back. I tend to slump. I'm a slumper. Thought about doing a that's the mower by the window. Like I said, I hope you can overlook it. He's doing what he's got to do. It's not my husband, by the way. It's our yard, our lawnmower people. In case you missed that. He's just doing what he's got to do. This side needs to be darker. This white or the lighter needs to go over that way more. This over here needs to be that's not really even making it look lighter, is it? Let's just go all in and put some white on there. Not particularly, huh? By the way, I doubt that the person mowing even knows there's a possibility of somebody filming in here. Sorry, I think hubby went out to talk to him. Poncho, it's okay. Not about making noise, but probably wants him to do something else. Or he's gonna ask him to do something else. See, this is still. I wonder if it's just because the background is actually darker. It's just giving that illusion. Yeah, please forgive Poncho too. It's okay, baby. Maybe this would be a good time for me to take a break and you listen to some music and not hear me rambling. Or hear Poncho barking. I know. You're okay, baby. Let's see if we can mix something that's a little bit closer. Too. It's too bright, in my opinion. I'm gonna have to go back over this, I'm sure, with a fan brush. To get that smooth look like he's got there. I could do it by doing it like this for a long, long time. Or I could just get out the fan brush and go over it. In my opinion, that's what God made fan brushes for. I don't think that was hubby that went out and talked to him. They must have been talking to each other. Yeah, that's close. At least it's closer in value. trying to get this value over here. It's a little darker. That's a lot closer in value. Let's get this baby out. For one thing, since I'm doing a demo, this is much faster than you sitting there having to watch me blend this slowly with a regular brush. I don't know why, but a fan brush almost feels like cheating. I think it's because the Bob Ross connection. To me, for me. I should have got a smaller fan brush, but this is what I had near me. It's pretty close. Still need to get this darker. I need about this color, but I need it over here. I think I added a little purple in there. Purple is just what I've decided to call that dirty purple that you get with ultramarine and cad red. Because it's not pure purple. It's kind of it's muddy. It's a little closer. Let's see if we can get it better. I'm just adding some burnt umber. That seems like it's doing the trick though. think this in here needs a little more something. It's not quite. This has a curve to it. This needs work. It goes down. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's get some yellow in there. I put just a smidge of walnut oil on it to help it lay on the surface and not so that lightness can get in there. This has a this edge needs a little bit of yellowish, orangish. I do see that this is different. Let's fix that. It goes. I'm looking. I'm just looking to see what I need to do. I know this orange color in here it needs knocked back a little bit with some this back here is it's darker back here. I think what made those pings stop is I opened it on my phone to refer to the messages later. So it's just going there instead of to my iPad. It seems like it goes like right there. Do you see that? I'm gonna come back at it with, you guessed it. I'm using more brushes this time than I usually do, more different ones. Usually I do the whole thing with just a couple. I can put that back in there. I think that's sufficient. It's really interesting, the different values of oranges and the yellows that you're forced to deal with. It's a study. It's a study, not a copy. It's a study, not a copy. Okay, I'm gonna go in on some of this fleshy part in here and try and knock it back just a little bit. I'm I'm doing that with a little ultramarine blue and orange on my brush. So it's not quite so orangey. Only complaint I've ever had about our mower people is I had a favorite stick out there that I used when we burned, and I was going to turn it into a walking stick. And they got rid of it because they cleaned up a bunch of sticks out of the. But if that's the worst thing I can say is they got rid of my stick. I don't think that's too bad. This looks very much like he put down the layer of orangey and yellow, and then went over it with these lighter brush strokes. So he worked from large to small, just like we're always told to do. I see something. This right here. It's not that way. This whole back here is darker. Oops. I hit the wrong picture. And I suddenly had an image of my kids in the marching band, my grandkids. and color card. I've got them in both. Yep. Again, that over there is a reflection on the surface. I'm going to make some of these really dark areas dark by mixing my ultramarine blue and burnt umber together. It makes an almost black, or it makes a shade that's almost black, because I think that looks like what he was going for. See how much sharper that makes that? I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. It's just enough, darker enough, or darker. I really think I need to work on my personal one. And I'm afraid if I quit working, I'll get back to it today. That looks pretty good. Not perfect. I don't think this needs to be as light as that either. Yep, that's better. I'm sure if we were to see this in person, it would be much more detailed than what we can see. Ooh, that's too dark. That's dark, dark. Let's blend that in there. It's not as dark as I thought it would be. Okay, now I'm just piddling. If my husband could see it, he'd say, "We're working on it." I don't want. This needs a little lighter. On there. You ever take a vacation and you get so many text and phone calls, you may as well have just gone to work? I just keep hearing my husband's phone go off. I know that's what it is. What time is it? Okay. I'm gonna start wrapping it up. I saw a meme that said that the adults were the worst about giving in to peer pressure. Because one person mows their yard in the neighborhood, then everybody else does too. I think I need to quit. It's not perfect, but it's not a copy, right? These little fuzzies on here. Even back here. Again, that's our hash. It's our mowing people. Hope you can just overlook it. Yeah. Or weed eating. Oops. They are doing what they gotta do. Like I said, I'm winding it up. It's got a little bit more of a curve. Okay, for a study, I think I'm going too far. Just want to get this one corner of the book. And then I think I'm going to call it. Okay. I think that's probably about as good as it gets for a study. Taking my gloves off. I don't mean anything. Let's take this tape off. I love this part. Ooh, look at that, look I see some paint that came through. No big deal. Right up here. I'm seeing something I want to change to. Here. You can really see that. It's from when I was doing the underpainting. What I usually do is I just dab a little white over it because it's the burnt umber with the mineral spirits. And I try not to get it too thick with this white, because this white takes forever to dry. But I'm seeing that it's not as rounded as I would like in the right fashion. Okay, I'm messing with too much minute things. Let me get my pencil. It's a sign you're getting old. You make sounds when you get up, huh? Turn that light off. Fifth? Is that what it is? Or is it the 26th? Isn't that terrible? 25th. Okay. I have to look at my phone. 8, 25, 25. Oil on gesso. My YouTube. Okie dokie. Ah, thanks. That was fun to do. It wasn't very stressful, and it just, yeah. All right, all. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. You so rock. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing something right. And it also helps support this channel. All right, I'm going to let you go. Thank you again. You all rock. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. I do these master studies every Monday at 11 a.m. All right. And watch the channel for when I do the oil pastel studies or when I do live streams in the studio.